Right, in this video we're going to look at how to do long division. Right, in the first example we're going to look at dividing 2205 by 7. Now obviously you don't know your 7 times table up to that far, so what we're going to do is write it out like this. We're going to deal with it one digit at a time. Just a reminder that we have the ones, tens, hundreds and thousands columns. So the 2 in this case represents 2000. The next 2 represents 200, and the 5 is just the number 5. First we're going to say how many times can 7 go into the number 2, and the answer is 0, so we'll just leave that out. So since that doesn't work, we know that 7 goes into 22 3 times, because 3 times 7 is 21. We're going to subtract that from our original number. 22 minus 21 is 1, and we'll bring down the 0 and the 5. And then we're going to repeat. 7 doesn't go into 1, but it goes into 10 exactly once, not exactly once. 7 times 1 is 7, we'll subtract that, and that's going to leave us with a 3. We'll bring the 5 down and repeat it again. 7 goes into 35 5 times exactly, because 5 times 7 is 35. And the bit left over is 0, so that means we're done. So we know the answer to 2205 divided by 7 is 315. This next example is going to be slightly trickier. So we want to know how many times does 6 go into 8015. We know it's not going to work out evenly because the last digit is a 5 and we're dividing by 6. So how many times does 6 go into 8? Well, it goes in once. 6 times 1 is 6, so we'll put that below. Then we'll subtract it, leaves us with a 2, and we'll bring down the 0, 1, 5. 6 goes into 23 times, because 3 times 6 is 18. Repeat, bring down the 1 and the 5. We'll do it all over again. 6 goes into 21 3 times, leaves 18. Equals a 3, bring down the 5, and next we're left with how many times does 6 go into 35? Well, it goes in 5 times, so that's going to leave us with 6 times 5 is 30, and this time we're at the end, but we have a remainder of 5, so we haven't quite finished. We could write this. We could write the answer as just 1335 with a remainder of 5, but that's not particularly satisfying. We haven't finished, we haven't gone as far as we could. So we're going to not do that, we're not going to finish just yet. We're going to put a dirty great big decimal place in here, in every part of the question, and we're just going to extend the number out with a place holding 0. So instead of going 6 into 5, I want to know how many times does 6 go into 50? And it goes in 8 times, so that's going to represent 0.8 in the answer. 6 times 8 is 48. We're going to subtract this down, and it's still not going to equal 0. So we're going to have 0.2 left over, and we're just going to keep extending it, add on a 0, make that a 0.20. How many times does 6 go into 20? Well, the answer is 3, and we're still not done, but we'll stop here, because we're seeing that we can move into the decimal places as such, and we could keep going until either we find a repetition or we want to give up. Next we're going to look at doing it with long division with double digits. For instance, how many times does 21 go into 6804? Well, I don't know my 21 times tables, but if you can just add and find multiples of 21, you'll be just fine at this. So 21, 2 times 21 is 42, 63, 84, and so on. So we know it's not going to go into the first digit because it's a 2-digit number, so we go 21 goes into 68 3 times. 21 times 3 is 63, that leaves 5 over. We'll bring down the 0 and the 4 just like before. How many times does 21 go into 50? Well, we know 42, so it goes in twice. Subtract that, 84. 21 goes into 84 4 times, and if we know that 21 times 4 is exactly 84, our remainder will be 0, So we're done. And if we didn't have a whole number answer, we could just keep progressing as we did in the previous example.